I never thought a single knock on my door would destroy the quiet world I had built for myself. But then again, I never thought the rebel across the hall, the one who screamed into his guitar at 2 a.m., would be the one to rewrite every rule I thought I lived by. It started with a song. Or rather, it started with the way he sang like he was bleeding through the chords, the way his voice carried across the hallway of our rundown apartment building in Brooklyn. I hated it at first, loud, reckless, like he was mocking the stability I had spent years piecing together. But hate is a dangerous word. Sometimes it is nothing more than a mask for the thing you're most afraid to feel. His name was Caleb. Everyone in the building knew him as the guy who never paid rent on time, who smoked on the fire escape with his boots propped up like the world owed him something. And yet, he had this presence that pulled people in. Even when he wasn't trying, he was magnetic. I had spent months trying to ignore him. That night, though, when his music spilled through the thin walls and dragged me out of bed, I couldn't ignore him anymore. I pounded on his door, half furious, half terrified of what I was about to do. When he opened it, shirtless, guitar still slung over his shoulder, smirking like he had been waiting for me, swear my heart stopped. "What? Can't handle art when it's raw?" he teased, leaning against the doorframe like I was some kind of entertainment. "You call that art? It sounds like you're murdering a cat." He laughed, deep and unrestrained, and something in me cracked. That laugh would be my undoing. Caleb had this way of making me forget myself. He dragged me into his world before I realized it. Beer bottles on the coffee table, lyrics scribbled on napkins, his boots carelessly tossed in corners. He was chaos where I was order. I should have hated him for it. Instead, I found myself staying longer each time I knocked on his door to complain. I found myself asking questions. I found myself listening. He made me laugh too. Really laugh, the kind of laugh I hadn't heard from my own chest in years. And then, one night, when his hand brushed mine as he reached for the lighter on the counter, I didn't pull away. The look in his eyes wasn't teasing anymore. It was raw, searching, like he was asking me a question I had no answer for. I kissed him first. It was clumsy, desperate, like breaking through the surface after drowning for too long. He kissed me back with the same hunger, the same reckless abandon that he put into everything else. And for the first time in years, I felt alive. But the world doesn't forgive easily. Especially not a world that had told me, since I was a kid in a small Midwestern town, that love like this was wrong. The weeks that followed were a blur of hidden moments. Coffee mugs with our fingerprints side by side. His jacket draped over my shoulders when I forgot mine. Stolen kisses in stairwells. I hated myself for how much I needed him, and yet I couldn't stop. But Caleb didn't know the weight I carried. He didn't know about the family who wouldn't take my calls if they knew the truth. He didn't know that every time I left his apartment, I was stepping back into a version of myself I barely recognized. One night, it all came crashing down. He was sitting on the fire escape, cigarette glowing between his fingers, when he asked, "Why do you always leave before morning?" The question sliced through me. I couldn't answer, because the truth was ugly, because I was a coward. He looked at me, his voice quieter this time. "Do you even want this? Do you even want me?" I wanted to scream yes. Instead, I said nothing. And silence is sometimes the worst betrayal of all. Caleb didn't beg. He didn't fight. He just stubbed out his cigarette, stood and said, "When you figure out who the hell you are, you know where to find me." Then he shut the window between us. I thought I could walk away. I told myself it was better this way, cleaner, safer, easier. But the truth haunted me. His laughter echoed in the silence of my apartment. His songs drifted through the walls, aching in a way I understood too well. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. It wasn't until weeks later, sitting in a sterile office, staring at a promotion letter I had once thought was everything I wanted, that I realized what I had done. I had traded the possibility of love for the illusion of control. And control had never kept me warm at night. So I knocked on his door again. When he opened it, his eyes were tired, guarded. But beneath the exhaustion, I saw the man who had once laughed like the world couldn't touch him. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I was scared." "Of me?" "No," I said. "Of myself." For the first time, I told him everything. About my family. About the fear. About how badly I wanted him anyway. And when the words finally spilled free, Caleb didn't say anything at first. He just pulled me into his arms, holding me like he had been waiting all along. Love isn't perfect. It doesn't fix everything. But sometimes it's enough to make the rest bearable. We still argue, still leaves his guitar picks everywhere, and I still nag him about paying rent on time. But now, the nights are different. Now, when the music drifts through the walls, it doesn't sound like chaos anymore. It sounds like home. And when I wake up in the morning, his arm draped over my chest, sunlight spilling across our messy apartment, I know that breaking every rule I had once clung to was the only way to truly live. Because the rebel musician across the hall didn't just break my silence. He taught me how to sing. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.